You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Sit back, enjoy the show. My name is Paul Apostolidis. I am one of the owners of Omega Lending. We've got Salvatore Cusmano, who's my partner in crime. Brad Weisgerber is not on the show today, which probably means we're going to have a pretty good show, Sal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yes,
it's going to be like great. It's not going to be any difference. He hasn't done a lot of talking lately. So today we're going to bring our guest on here in a minute. I just wanted to do things out. Obviously, for all of those that are listening, we appreciate your support. Please go to IRE Podcast or wherever you find our podcasts and like and subscribe to it. It helps out. Our listener base has been really growing, and we really appreciate everybody that's left us a review and likes our podcast or app form you listen to. So go there, Facebook /IRE Podcast to see any of the live. You also, for those of you listening to the live version of this, if you go to our Facebook page, you can actually watch the actual videos, which we do live. We don't actually our podcast kind of might be a little bit different. We don't do any editing. It's kind of like a radio show. So if you want to see what we look like and what we do, go over to the Facebook page. But Sal, real quick, I wanted to talk to you about the GSEs and how they added. So everybody understands, there's something that happened last week where Fannie and Freddie were adding 50 basis points or being refinances more expensive. And yesterday, it was announced that they would postpone that because it was causing some issues. Do you see that lowering rates, Sal, or do you think that's going to have any impact on actual people's rates, or is that just kind of like on the back end for like our mortgage companies?
I think it will help.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, like when it comes down to it, right? Like everything to a degree is behind the scenes. So, they might remove that 0.5 point adjustment out of their pricing, but
right.
The adjustment doesn't necessarily mean that the base rate or the rates that they're offering are a little worse or hedged, because obviously knowing that's coming, they're going to lose some, right? I mean, the reason that they built it in early for most of these lenders is because it's for loans delivered after September 1st, right? So that's why when you see these incentives, I mean, it's all to a degree smoke and mirrors and hedging and whatnot like that. But ultimately, yeah, I think it will improve things. But I think lenders are still going to have some of their margins having the risk built in, right? Because as you can see, things are crazy, right? Overnight, they enact that. Overnight, they repeal it. I mean,
right.
So
it just goes to show you that like anything can happen at any moment. Like you and I watch the market and we're like, okay, it looks like rates might be going up or down. You're watching the 10-year, you're watching the mortgage-backed securities, and then boom, out of nowhere, the GSEs say they're going to charge more, and all of a sudden rates go up overnight. And a lot of these deals today, because of the way they're structured, they can't be locked long-term because nobody wants to honor a long-term lock really right now. So you're looking at like a shorter-term lock with longer waits. So a lot of people are floating until you get to a point where you can lock the rate without losing that rate. And it really puts us in a tough spot.
I mean, I think if you're a consumer right now, it's so crazy. You kind of have to anticipate a rate change, probably up or down of 1/8 of a point, right? You could end up getting 2.75, or you could get 2.99, just depending.
Right.
So that's something that I think you have to brace for. Is just, I mean, as you can see, we don't really have much control over this. We're kind of puppets on strings with the government. So if they say they want to do something, it gets done, and everyone follows suit, and vice versa. I don't know if they released it because of pushback or because they saw a slowdown in applications and kind of a lull to the boom that was happening, right? Which is generating a lot of income.
Yeah, which is weird that they would actually start charging more. It's not like they're not making enough money.
Well, I think they thought, we could add a 0.5 point, whatever. They go from 2.75 to 2.875. Well, people kind of pump the brakes for that too. I have a lot of loans that probably could have closed last week that we're just like, hey, it doesn't make sense. We gotta wait.
But now a lot of those hopefully, like hopefully the pricing gets kind of adjusted down and kind of those come back. I just want to kind of talk about that because that's something that's happening that's poignant that does affect consumers. So if you had a rate that was quoted to you last week, I would definitely, and you were like shopping around, I would definitely get another quote, because a lot of times people think a quote is static. Like if I get quoted today, a week from now it's the same. Well, it's like it's going to change day by day, minute by minute. So I just wanted to make that disclaimer. But I don't want to make Brennen wait much longer. So today on our show, we have Brennen Clarke. He's from the Mark Z team. I reached out to Mark Z and I said, who's a really big realtor here in the Detroit area, who's probably going to close anywhere between 700 to 1,000 transactions this year. And I was like, and he's like, listen, I want my boy on. He's my top listing agent. And I'm like, yeah, let's get him on. So Brennen, welcome to the show, sir. We're really excited to have you on, dude.
How's it going, guys? It's great to be here.
Good, man. Good. So Brennen, I like having new blood on the show because there's always like a different perspective, right? Brennen, I think you said you're 26 years old, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you started with the Mark Z team a little over a year ago, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
All right. And prior to that, did you have any real estate experience?
Yeah, actually, I started my career off with Tremaine Real Estate up in Flint, Michigan, Grand Blanc. Started on the constable team. He's the one that actually got me into real estate. I was actually out living in Colorado. I was working for Vail Resorts. I was a supervisor out there and doing some snowboard training on the side. Just
in Vail, Colorado?
Yes, sir.
Brennen, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, why did you come back? It sounds like you're just a snow bunny, just living on the hill, bro.
It was a great lifestyle, but I was just missing the income and my family.
Yeah.
So came back for the family, and then just to live out there, I didn't have the income to live how I wanted to out there for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap out there, right?
That's often the case.
Heck no. Yeah.
People move out to California or whatever, and they move back pretty quick unless they find something to do, right? But maybe you could take these experiences you're learning here and go crush it out there.
Exactly. I mean, I was able to out there for like. Oh no, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Brennen closed like he's a listing machine, right? He had 8 listings closed last month. Is that right?
So I closed 6 transactions last month. I listed 8.
Got it. So I wanted to talk to you about the listing process and how you guys handle it. But let's start with Brennen. How did you end up working with Mark Z, and why did you? Because obviously there's a lot of options in our area. So what was it about Mark and his team that made you kind of like gravitate over there?
Of course. So like I said, I started off in Tremaine Real Estate, and everything was going good there. But honestly, I was looking for more. I had a lot of, I guess, digital experience and experience with technology that some of the top people there, I guess you can say, didn't understand it.
Right.
Understand how to implement it into their business every day. It didn't trust me enough being a newer agent to allow me to show them how to, I guess, use social media and digital marketing, how to actually take their business to another level. Mark Z, I don't know if you guys know this, but he's now with EXP, which is one of the biggest recruiting agent-owned brokerages in the nation, one of the biggest growing brokerages. I absolutely love it just because it's the first remote brokerage. We don't have to be in a brick and mortar building all the time. It's cloud based. So like I'm here today, I'm in my car. I work from home 90% of the time, and that was one of the main things that attracted me to the Mark Z team was the EXP, I guess, model at the end of the day. But he had an agent actually reach out to me, and it took me about 8 months to actually make the hop over to the Mark Z team. It took some time. I didn't just jump ships. I just, being so new, I was really scared to make a change that quickly. I didn't want to be the guy that just changed to every brokerage or go every different place. I really wanted to try to get my feet wet first and get the feel for the business. So I waited another 8 months at Tremaine Real Estate. And then, like I said, I didn't join the Mark Z team until about a year ago, maybe like May or June last year. And then since then, it's been. I didn't start as a listing partner though. I actually had my earn my way as a listing partner, just like every other person on the team. There is currently 3 other listing partners. I'm the youngest, obviously, of course, right now. But it took me about 4 to 5 months on his team to actually earn that respectful spot as a said listing partner on his team.
Yeah. So, Sal, you know this. So Mark's got a pretty big team. He's got a big advertising spend. He's in the local area here, Metro Detroit. He's all over the place as far as radio, TV, and all that stuff. And I'm sure that's helping you, Brennen, with like you getting leads and having people want to work with you. You guys have a good reputation. You guys actually a really good process. But how big is the team? How big is Mark's team right now? How many like agents are working there? How many people are working processing, so on and so forth?
So when I'm going on listing appointments, one of my favorite lines to use when I'm talking to clients is, I have 60 buyer's agents that work for me right now. So when I'm taking your listing today.
Did you say 60?
60.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So we have quite a small army of agents that they're usually working with a buyer already. So we have a chance to sell that listing before I even walk out of that home today.
Yeah.
So
it does offer a lot of advantage. You've got an ecosystem that's kind of built with a whole bunch of people right there. Then you can kind of move stuff pretty quickly, right?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. So talk to me about what you're noticing with listings in today's market. So let's just be honest. Sally, you know this. Real estate is really hot across the country. It's not just here in Michigan. And we're seeing multiple offer situations on homes where the inventory is at the lowest level that we've seen in a very, very long time. Demand is still very high. Interest rates are really low. It's kind of like this perfect little storm for real estate to kind of to equity. But so tell me a little bit what you're seeing as far as the listing side. What are some of the challenges that you're seeing right now, and what are some of the advantages of listing right now?
So I guess the biggest advantage right now is if you need to sell your home, put it on the market today. If it's priced correctly and marketed correctly, it's going to sell. The disadvantage is if you don't have a place to go, you're basically out of luck right now unless you
find
have
anything, right? Yeah,
exactly. So that's the biggest disadvantage. Is go back to it. It's the lowest inventory historically in about 18 years. I'm new to the business obviously still, so I haven't seen this before. But hearing Mark Z, who's been in the business for 18 plus years, say that this is historically the lowest he's ever seen inventory, it's a little scary right now, but it's going to bounce back.
Yeah, you know, it ebbs and flows, right? It always does. Even if for the past 3-4 years it's been trending downward and continues to do so, eventually something will give, right? The market has to soften at some point, and a lot of it's probably just different generational ages that are, buying, and certain ones are holding or selling. I mean, I think we're kind of approaching a little bit of not a super steep cliff, but definitely the edge of a cliff when it comes to this crazy market. Probably like another 2 years and something's got to give, right?
Of course.
We'll see.
I don't, to be honest with you guys, you know how I feel about a really overheated market. And when you're having multiple offers and inventory is so low, rates are so low, it all feels good. But it's very strange to me to watch the stock market and real estate really do well while we're in the middle of a pandemic and people have lost their jobs and they don't know how to, and it seems as though real estate, it's a fact, has endured really well. We thought it would, but now I'm getting to the point where we're seeing crazy offers, appraisal waivers, doing whatever they can to get into these houses, overpaying. They don't give a shit. It's like, I want the house. I'll pay 20, 30, 40, 50K over ask, right? So we're seeing a lot of aggression in the market, which can create some inflation in the housing prices. Due to lack of demand. Do you personally see this slowing down in the winter? Like, because I'm wondering what's going to happen through the winter now. Because usually in Michigan, at least, we're very seasonal because of the weather, right?
So last year around this time, we were still selling quite a bit of homes. Inventory definitely was trending lower, but we were still selling during the winter times, which was weird because, like you said, historically in Michigan, real estate really doesn't exist during those winter months. No one really wants to go out when there's ice and snow out there. This winter, however, with everything going on, I'm not gonna touch on it too much because I don't like to get into it with my business. But once election is over and all that, hopefully things maybe start to soften up, like you were talking about with the market. Maybe we see some prices start to come down because it's crazy right now that people are paying $15,000-$20,000 over appraised value for a home right now. Actually, in Romulus, Michigan, is one of the biggest areas right now where people are severely overpaying for houses, appraisal guarantees, inspection waivers. I mean, it's a very dangerous market for buyers right now.
The only saving grace with that, though, right, is right now with these crazy low rates. And mind you, there's a time value to the money, but like, all right, you might go 10, 15 grand over, but in the long run, you're going to easily save that in interest due to the current environment, right?
That is true. Historically low rates. I mean, when's the last time we've ever up and over or under 3%? Right.
So you'll pay your balance down, probably not proportionately to what you overpaid for the house potentially, right? But it's hard to think about that in terms of it making sense still. But the problem is potentially too, when the market does soften up, right, and rates are higher, well, now you can afford a little less house monthly, even though they're cheaper, right? But I mean, I guess it kind of, at least hand in hand, kind of follows each other, right? But I mean, anytime's a good time to buy a house, I feel like, if you have to.
If you have to, yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah. But dude, I don't think the demand's slowing down. Personally, I think we've got a whole millennial group that's going into their years where they're married and having kids. A lot of people are going from condos to houses. You've got the elderly going from a colonial to a ranch, whose ranches are non-existent for a lot of times, right? Like, it's like, try to find a ranch right now. It's like,
I think there's some good opportunity in the quote unquote new world, right? Where people can work at home, work remotely. I think there's a good opportunity for developers to start building more affordable new construction out in fringe areas, right? So instead of like, I want to blow down a house and put a new construction one up in Royal Oak, for example, which is costly, right? Yeah, maybe, we'll move somewhere with a little more land. We don't really care as much about being downtown. We can get a new construction home for $250,000, right? I mean, I feel like those areas are kind of going to blow up a little bit.
Yeah, but Sal, builders, generally speaking, don't like building $200,000 or $250,000 houses. Builders want to build
and get, if the acquisition cost for the land is low. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, right? Obviously, look at it like doing a deal, right? Do you want to be the king of $50,000 deals? No, not necessarily. But if you build and structure it correctly, I mean, you can obviously make a killing, right? Especially if there's a demand for it, which at right now, there is a large demand. People do want all their boxes checked as far as what they're looking for, which typically you only get in a new construction. And they're getting outbid because they don't necessarily have the qualifications to maybe put 20% down or go over. So, I feel like it's a good opportunity for buyers who aren't overbidding on these houses, because there might be a lot of them inside of a new development. But I mean, I guess I kind of digress here. I don't know what the future holds, but
Brennen, are you seeing a lot of new construction, man? Because I don't see a lot of new construction that's in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, really, unless it's a condo. Personally, here in Michigan, I'm not seeing affordable houses being built. Are I missing something, Brennen? Because I'm not seeing it.
Not around where I'm at right now in the metro area. Maybe up in the Fenton, Grand Blanc area. Maybe some 200s, maybe 250s.
Maybe, right.
I'm doing deals right now in Oak Park, 250, brand new construction, some type of development that they're only allowed to sell to someone who's occupying it, right? There's programs, there's stimulus to build more housing for people. One, to bring the neighborhoods up in those fringe areas that are less affordable, right?
Okay.
But two, I think that builders are a little scared knowing that, with everything going on, it could just get wiped out like that tomorrow, right? Economy crashes.
Yeah. Would you drop, like, make a huge development of 500 homes out in Fenton at $200,000 a piece? It takes you 5 years to complete the build and sales and all that, right? And then you're in and out of this project But that's a huge commitment from a builder to do that, because they've got to put their money on, like their money's
No
on
doubt.
the table, right?
Well, I think absolutely right. And a lot of builders in '08 got wiped out, right? A lot of them were using their own money. It just kept growing. They weren't necessarily using the bank's money to build these homes, right? So I think it's probably a mix of a couple different things. Like a lot of new construction, the builder doesn't have to put any money out. The buyer pays for it all essentially with their new construction draw loan. But I think for the developments, like you said, Paul, there's a lot more investment from the builder side that they're going to have to essentially take some risks, and it's either going to be a huge reward or they're going to get slapped. But what are you to do? I mean, there's a problem, right? There's less homes than there are buyers. So unless people just say, you know what, screw it, which eventually people do, right? I guess I'm just going to rent for another year. You hear that a lot, but until there's some type of either softening in the market, but which even then, the only softening I could think of is old people going into funeral homes, retirement homes or funeral homes. I mean, I guess a mix of the both, right?
Sal's hoping for like COVID to like kill a whole bunch of old people so the housing market opens up.
Man, I mean, that would create obviously a excess supply of homes, right? Where they don't necessarily need to. It's not one on one, right? It's not like one person sold and they also bought. The only other way is to create new homes, which will probably create some bubble way down the road because people are only having 1 or 2 kids now, right?
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
In like 30 years, 40 years, there'll be a way excess of homes likely. So, we're just on the other end of that right now, right?
Yeah.
Baby boomers are dying, and that's that.
Yeah. So, Brennen, I wanted to ask you this question because I have a friend of mine who's selling his house, who just bought a house, right? And I'm not going to say his name. He's just a really good friend of mine who's an idiot, but I love him. And he had a good point. And I want to talk to you about this. So why wouldn't I, in the market that is this hot, why wouldn't I just list my own house, Brennen? What are like if houses are moving so fast, right? Is the mentality of someone who's a great listing agent to talk to someone who maybe is thinking about doing a for sale by owner? Where is the benefit? Because in their mind, they're like, I'm giving up 3%, and that's a $300,000 house. That's 9 G's, right? That's what they're thinking. Is that service worth $9,000?
At the end of the day, in the Mark Z team, we have the data that suggests that it is. When we're listing our homes, we're getting within 99 to 100% of that listing price. Maybe sometimes 98 on the low side. What happens with these for sale by owners? What drives a sale of a home is price and marketing. If you don't have the digital marketing, that top professional marketing nowadays, professional photography. I'm talking not you're taking your iPhone, cell phone, your iPhone photos. I mean, come on, you can't do that nowadays. You need
not
to hire.
Anymore, no. Back in the day, you could be in the bathroom mirror, snapping a picture as a realtor, and be like, I'm good on that.
Exactly. You need the wide angle lenses. We provide things like 3D Zillow tours, the Matterport. We have a professional licensed drone guy that actually comes out and he'll do drone photography and videography. And then I had a little bit of a mix to the table and do a HD TV style video walkthrough. So it's a little bit different video style, and I throw it all over my social media, and that reaches about 10 to 20,000 people.
Is that like a MTV Cribs?
Yeah, basically like an MTV Cribs, like my style.
That's pretty cool, though. Yeah,
that's awesome. So that's awesome.
Technology set the bar. Right? Yeah.
So
I mean, you saw it early.
Yeah, and when you explain how the process has changed, it's not just putting a sign in the yard anymore and throwing it up on Zillow. I mean, some homes can sell like that. I'm not gonna lie to the consumers. Some people can sell their own home that way, but do they want to go through the headache of the negotiation process, having all of the headache of ordering title, all that stuff, the legality, if anything, if seller's disclosures weren't properly filled out? I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that could go wrong that if you don't know exactly what it takes to sell a home at the end of the day, you really should get a legal representation. I mean, would you ever go to the courthouse and represent yourself?
I mean, some people would, but they think they're smart. Yeah, they shouldn't.
I guess it depends what I did, right? Traffic ticket, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Murder?
Or
No.
if you needed a surgery, would you ever try to perform it yourself?
No, I would not. I think that's a great analogy because look, there are nuances when selling. That's exactly what I told my buddy. It's like, look, can you sell your house on your own? Yeah. Are you going to price it right? Probably not. You'll probably price it too high or too low, right? And if it's too low, you might take less than you should. And if it's too high, you'll stale and nobody wants to look at it, right? So there is a sweet spot of where you should be listing it to create demand. On top of that, I'm like, do you know how to set up a purchase agreement? Do you know how to get title run? What happens if there's an issue here? What happens with the appraisal or inspection? Like, there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle that it is a huge transaction, has a lot of legal paperwork that has to be done correctly, or else you could get, fucked. So, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're on it. So I do believe there is a lot of value to have a listing agent list your house. And I do believe that those that do it on their own, they can do it. They will do it. And there will be a population of people that can do it successfully. But there'll be a lot of those people that end up making mistakes or underselling their house or overselling their house. I believe that very few people are actually well equipped enough to actually sell their own home and do it properly. Would you agree with that, Brennen?
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So I also want to talk to you because you are a younger guy. You're a millennial. You are big on technology, digital marketing, and obviously we are as a company too. So I want to talk to you about how your mentality on technology differs from other people in the industry around that you see, and then how can you use that to leverage what you do for your clients?
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, I'm known as the digital realtor around the Marksy team. I got that nickname very quickly. I used to walk around the office with my gimbal. That was probably the first thing that really set my business off and differentiated me from everyone else in the business. If you don't know what a gimbal is, it's like a phone stabilizer for your iPhone. I use something called the Zhiyun Smooth 4.
I have
it's
that.
Amazing. You do have that. Okay. So you're familiar. It's
very familiar.
It stabilizes everything for you and creates this almost professional cinema-like video. So when you're going through these houses and trying to show people or show your clients, they're like, wow, what did you shoot that? Or like, who came out and shot that for you? Do you have a professional company that comes out? It just really creates an image for yourself, a brand for yourself, where you're really this professional, where you only use professional stuff. And I mean, I applaud the realtors that are trying to do the videos, but when you're shaking like this on your phone, it's really hard to watch for more than 30 seconds.
Right.
It's hard to watch for 5 seconds.
Exactly.
They open their phone up, it's like showing their feet on the ground. It's like, come on, dude. Like, if someone was selling my house and I saw that on Facebook. Realtor.
Yeah, I love when it's like two chicks or whatever. They're like, oh my God, look at the bathroom. Oh my God, look at the sink. Oh my God, you guys are going to love this house. And it's just like, shut up. I'm out. Like at that point, it's like, you're not really being serious. So you're saying that taking the time and like learning how to do things at a different level is really, that gimbal is really easy to use. And it's not like that crazy, but you made a decision that I'm going to invest in buying this gimbal, which I think is like $200 or $150, whatever it was. And it really stepped up your game. But you're looking for ways constantly to like look better or like step up your game compared to everybody else. But by the way, isn't hard, bro. There's not a lot of people doing a lot of cool shit right now.
There isn't. I saw, I guess, a lack in this market, and I wanted to take advantage of stuff that, like you said, people aren't doing this right now. I want to pave the way for people to eventually maybe follow what I'm doing, because I believe, I mean, I grew up watching HGTV and watched the video walkthroughs and all that stuff. I love those shows. Like, it caught my interest. I could actually watch those shows day in, day out. So why not create something in a local market that I can put on social media in Michigan? Because there's nothing like that exists.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, man.
And two, right? Like, if you don't have those skills, not everyone is obviously either technologically inclined or artistic or at all aware of that. Hire someone, hire someone to represent you the way that you should be representing your buyers.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Or, I'm sorry, your sellers, buyers,
right
whatever.
Now, that will actually come in and they're actually priced properly. There's actually a company that works with Mark Z team. They actually work with a couple of our agents. They're called Way Up Media. A little shout out to them. But they look them up on Instagram, Facebook. They're one of Michigan's top digital marketing companies right now. But they can definitely help you step your game up if you don't have that technological inclination, and definitely can't get it done. They'll get it done for you.
I would say as a real estate agent or any professional in today's market, that any professional actually, but especially in real estate where it's dynamic and there's always new blood coming in. What happens is you've got the old guard that still writes their contracts in ink, right? You got, and then that slowly gets faded out. Now people are doing e-signatures, but there's always innovation coming, and if you're not always innovating in this business and always looking to make sure that you're ahead of the game, there's someone like you that's going to come in and take business from me if I'm competing with you because you decided to get a gimbal. You see what I mean? Like, you got a gimbal and it made you look better, and you probably won business over somebody else that just didn't do that. And it seems so simple, but it's like these little incremental things that can add up quite a bit. To your point.
Well, we see the same on our side, right? Like, if I'm like sending out a stack of documents to a client via, UPS with, here's a, you put a little sticky note or whatever next to each signature, or call me when you get this, we'll go over it. And then you just throw it back in the mail versus, just open up your phone and you can e-sign everything in 5 minutes. We can go over it together if you'd like. And then you're instantly in process versus, using the mail and all that, which I don't know too many people who actually use the mail or don't have e-sign. But when that came out, it was innovative, right? It really pushed people ahead. And then the others had to follow suit just to even be in the game. I mean, if a lender right now is like, yeah, we don't have e-sign, I'm not working with them, right?
No, bro.
They'll fail.
It'll fail. But e-sign now is old. There's my point. So if you don't have e-sign, you're dead. Now it's like, well, do you have an app? Do you have, how do you apply? How do you get your documents? How efficient is the communication? Are you utilizing technology married with a human experience to make things better? That is the trick. And I don't think technology replaces humans. I think it adds, it accentuates the human experience, right? It's like adding spices to a piece of meat. If you don't add the spices, it tastes like shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get
Brennen, let me ask you, what piece of technology do you think that is, if I was a consumer and I was interviewing 2 listing agents, right? What should I be looking for from a listing agent? I guess that's really my question. So obviously I'm going to sell my house. I want to interview a couple agents to figure out who's going to do work for me. What is it that sets you apart, and why would someone choose one person over the other, and what should they look out for? What are some things that listing agents say? Like, sometimes we'll say, a listing agent bought that listing because he told him he's going to sell it for $500,000. The house is worth $420,000, right? That happens a lot. Are you seeing that a lot? I mean, kind of give me an idea of like what you're seeing other agents are doing to maybe potentially put people in a bad spot, or pull the wool over their eyes.
Okay, yeah, no, 100%. So, being a listing agent for Mark Z, I actually don't take every listing that I actually go on. I have the opportunity to actually choose what listing I'm going to take and what I don't want to take. We like to take listings that we know we're going to sell at the end of the day. So like what you just said, we won't buy a listing. We're not going to tell you we're going to sell your house for $500,000 when it's only worth $400,000. It's just not something we're in the business to do. I don't believe it's good business. I don't believe it's almost ethical. Exactly. I mean, come on. I mean, you're wasting the consumer's time. You're wasting everyone's time involved. I mean, there's really
it happens a lot. There's a lot of promises made because as a consumer, guys, think about this. I'm in my house and I got 2 people coming to talk to me, and you have one guy who's like legit, and he's like, "Look, your house is worth $400K. We're going to price it at $399,900, so we get that like thing right there, and we're going to get a lot of traction. And you might even sell it for more because I feel like the area is hot, but this is the right place to sell it to get the most eyes and on it." What happens is you get another agent come in. They're like, "Oh, dude, your house is worth $450 all day, bro. All day. You got some like sweet shit, right?" Next thing you know, you put that house on the market and it's crickets. And all of a sudden it's like, shit, I'm not getting any traction. Whereas the guy that would have set it up at $399 might have got $450 or $440 or $430 because there was a lot more demand, right? So there is something to be said about pricing it right?
Well, and you have to think too, people with MLS searches, if you started at, 400, right, or 410 or whatever it is, and I'm sure there's some methods behind that, that house isn't even showing up on there, right? For someone who maybe has like a limit of like 400 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
you got to know that. So that's one of the biggest things. I don't want to get too into that because that's kind of one of our listing partners' secrets is our pricing strategies at the marketing team. It's properly pricing your home is going to sell your home at the end of the day. Back to your original question, when hiring a listing agent, whoever has the maximum exposure to get your house exposed is going to get the right buyer, the person that's going to get the right offer for your home. The person that's going to put the house, the Zillow, up on Zillow, put the sign in the yard, they're not going to get the same exposure that Mark Z is spending $30,000 a month just on Zillow leads. And then he's spending an additional $10,000, $15,000 on billboards, digital marketing, commercials, and stuff like that. I mean, his digital reach right now is, I believe it's closer to 500,000 to 1 million people every single month. And that's just not in Michigan. That's all across the country.
Right. You've got people in Florida that might be looking for houses in Michigan, right? There's a lot of things that can be done. So in today's world, it is really important to be efficient at your job. I think right now, unfortunately, Sal, we talk about this, like a loan officer could trip and fall onto a loan, right? It's not hard to get a mortgage or a refinance in the market. If you're a listing agent, you can get it. Go ahead, Sal. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I think like the good agents and the good loan officers or the good salespeople in general who have someone who's like shopping them, right, or interviewing multiple agents. I almost just play like devil's advocate, right? Like, I mean, here's the downsides of going with me. Here's everything that could go wrong. If those guys aren't telling you that, like, then you're probably doing yourself a disservice. You almost want to like almost push them away to see if they come back, right? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah. No, I agree with you, Sal. And Brennan, I think you probably
like lay it all out there. Like, hey, man, your house isn't going to sell for $450. So if that's what you want, I'm not going to be able to do that. It will never appraise, right? So it's actually worth $385,000. And if you can accept that and get on board, I'm your guy.
You create that fear of loss for your client.
Yeah.
And that, at the end of the day, that's what makes them actually come back down to reality. And they're like, oh, wow, my house really is worth that.
It'd be like me like telling my wife when we were like dating that I had $5 million in the bank and that I had a private jet. And then you get married and you realize my credit's 550 and my parents. You know what I mean? You got to be honest with the people you're in a relationship with.
By closing, the offers will come in.
Yeah, it's going to come out.
Dictate what it's going to happen. It's kind of like a mortgage. Like if client's like, yeah, man, I don't know. I think, I did X amount last year. I'm self-employed. It's like, great. Send me everything proving that, and then we can work together. Because your time is important just as mine is. So let's just figure this out up front.
All right. Yep. And Brendan, we're running short on time for you, but we do 3 questions on our show with all our guests. So the first question is always the same for our new guests. What is it that scares Brennen Clarke?
Oof. Oh wow. That's hard.
Fearless.
Oh no, I'm not fearless. That's definitely not. I have a couple fears, but they're pretty close to me. I have a fear of not being close to my family for a long time.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so you care about your family. It's positive. You heard it here. Brennan's got a good soul. We can tell already. That's good. Question number 2 is, if you could spend a week in somebody else's shoes, who would it be and why?
Grant Cardone.
Really?
He's an animal.
He's a pompous asshole.
He is a pompous asshole, but when you want to live for a week.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be pretty.
I don't
just
like.
I mean,
then you don't have to be. Then you can be your normal self again. Yeah, I should be a nice person.
I think that if you were to spend a week in anyone else's shoes, you'd have a new perspective, right? Like if I was like, yeah, I want to spend, a week in a homeless person's shoes, I'd probably be better for it. And if I spent a week in Grant Cardone's shoes, I'd probably come back and be like, wow, I'll never live up to that. I'm kind of vile,
Right. Everything would be. I would be like the Pope. I want to see what's going on in the Vatican, bro. Open up those vaults. Let me see what's going on.
I don't want to.
I think you come back pretty shook up.
Yeah. All right. Last question is: if you could change one thing about Mark Z's either appearance or personality, what would it be?
Give him a mullet.
A mullet. That will be heaven.
Bro, I'm photoshopping that and I'm putting it up. I'm gonna send it to Mark. Mark obviously has done the show a couple of times. He's an awesome guy. I think you attribute a lot of your success to him. I do want to shout him out, man, because we were talking about this earlier in the show, Sal. People kind of want to cap on some of the top guys always, like, oh, they do this. If they don't do this, they're gonna fail. Mark, for what it's worth, is creating wealth for people like Brennen, who's been with his company for a year, having success. You cannot fault a dude that's working that hard and having people around him have that much success. It's like, good for you, Mark. You're creating wealth for all the people around you, not just yourself. He's not selfish. He recently put his face is all over the billboard, Sal. And recently, like Zach Jones, who we know well, was on a billboard, right? So he's giving back to his people, and I'm happy to see that Mark is actually, from having him on the show, like, he is a real good dude and he cares about his people. So I appreciate what he's done for you and everybody else in his team. That's awesome.
No, it's to be on the team. I mean, like you said, he's actually a giving person. I think that's one of the main reasons what drew me to his team, is where he wasn't just talking the talk, he was actually walking the walk. He was on the front lines with us. He would actually sit down, and if I didn't get a listing, he wasn't mad at me, but he would walk through with me, explain step by step. Okay, he would walk me down this road. Did you say this? Okay, if you didn't say this, why didn't you say that? And actually give me actual feedback, where a lot of these top guys, I feel like for so long they've kept it hidden, almost like a secret, where they don't want to share their success because they don't want to see other people succeed. They want to have it all for themselves, where Mark is so giving. He really wants to see other people succeed, I believe.
Yeah, I believe that too. I've seen it in Zach Jones, seen it multiple times. People that go there generally stay there, and they feel good about it, and they're on a team. There's pros and cons. Everybody fits in a different place, Brendan, I believe, right? Someday maybe Mark Z's whoa, was that thunder? Holy shit. Okay, so Brendan, listen, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you real quick, man.
So my personal cell phone number is out there for everyone. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm at Sold by Brennen. So cell phone number is 810-240-9550. Website soldbybrennan.com. And then, of course, you can find me on Mark C's website as well.
All right, man. Brennen, thank you for doing the show, dude. I wish you the best of luck. Keep kicking ass. And let Mark know that I'll be creating something with him and a mullet pretty soon and sending it over for you guys. Okay.
I'll be badass. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me today, guys.
All right, man.
No problem.
Thanks for doing the show, dude. Have a good one. Be safe out there. It's pretty wet. Sal, that kid's pretty impressive, man. I mean, he's young. He's doing 7 to 8 listings a month. He's one of their top listing agents. And it's like Mark has created a system that people can succeed in, bro. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think, if you want to get into real estate and you join a team that can train you and you get a lot of exposure. I mean, the whole thing, right, with agents is always like, well, I don't, make as much per deal, right? Like, I feel like they look at the numbers, right? The splits are crazy at teams, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, maybe, but like, what's the value, right? And obviously a team that is providing immense value and someone's not like worried about what their splits are. I mean, that's kind of the key, right? Like, think how much exposure you get to deals, issues. I mean, you learn by mistakes always, right? And I'm sure
the volume of business that comes through creates that experience, because a guy that's working at a small shop who does a deal or 2 listings a month, but might get paid more on them, to be fair.
Sure.
There's a guy like Brennen who's dealing with 7, 8, 10 listings a month. His experience level is that curve is being decreased quite a bit because of the volume.
No, and there's also something to be said, like obviously in our side of the field, right? Like someone who wrote like a ton of loans at like Quicken or Loan Depot or something, it's different if they come out and go on their own, right? There's more to do. There's, like a lot of people when they leave those teams struggle because they don't have like transaction coordinators or things of that sort, right? So I think if it works, though, it works. And some people I feel like are lifelong teamers, and some are kind of like are never a team player. And I think that to do well and be in one of those environments, you do have to be a team player because everyone helps each other, and when it works, it's killer.
Yeah, it's funny because like, look, I worked at Quicken and I would bring in $150,000 in revenue, and my paycheck would be like $25,000, right? Whatever it is. It was certain months, and I was making really
call
good
people.
All I did was and like
you didn't have to do much.
Like, dude, I'd write no. Well, I mean, you still had it back then. You had to be a loan officer, like you had extra stuff together.
You don't have to do too much, right? I mean, still in comparison, as far as processing it, and all right, it's hand it off, right? So
you would make a maximum of like 55 bips on the deal, right? Back then. Which is, sometimes it was less than that, but if the company is providing all this opportunity, so I'd rather sometimes,
nowadays,
if I don't know the business,
bips in an environment like Quicken would be heaven.
It's not that anymore, right? Yeah. So look, I think if you're new to the industry, you got to have the reps and you got to have good leadership if you really want to get into this business and succeed. Don't think you're going to go to like a small brokerage shop where they give you a desk and a phone. They're like, have at it, kid. That's not going to get you going the right way. You're not going to get enough experience doing that. I would tell anybody that wants to get into the business to go to like a team like Mark or like a real team where they can actually learn the business. And, a lot of times, like I have a lot of my friends that stayed at Quicken for many, many years that just made a shit ton of money because of the IPO. And I think about it. I left there and I was there for 5.5 years, and I was like, well, maybe I should have stayed there.
I mean, it's all good.
It's all relevant.
Listen, I can't knock or crack on anyone who works at Quicken Loans if they like working there. It's just the people who are unhappy, whether it's there, whether it's in our 4 walls. If you're not happy, what are you doing, right?
Go do something else. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, dude. Like it is wild. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say that I'm really concerned about our market right now. Like I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with the amount of activity, with the refinance activity, how liquid. I mean, I borrowed money for a car. I'm buying a car, and I didn't feel like going to the bank or whatever. I went to this website called Lightstream, and I applied for the loan. They asked me for a bank statement and a form of ID, and the next morning I had
what's crazy is they're
in my bank account.
It's unsecured debt.
Yeah, you're basically saying,
okay, you
sure,
don't make your payments, they take your car. You don't make your payments on this, you have shitty credit, but you still have the car free and clear. You could sell it.
There's no asset tied to that. There's no asset tied to that debt. So money is getting very liquid. It's scary.
Yeah. No, it is crazy to a degree, and in other senses, it's tighter elsewhere, right? But ultimately, I think we're heading to a cliff one way or another, right? I mean, it's somewhat inevitable, but you don't, if you live in fear, I mean, obviously you can't really do anything. So you just kind of got to like live with the inputs you get every day to put out the best output. Like, hey, Fannie Mae's putting a point on all refis. Shit. Okay, so rates go from 2.875 to 3 1/8. Oh, you're at a 4. Right. Did you really lose? It's kind of like just deal with the cards that are dealt, because you can't cheat in the game of life. So you just kind of got to do everything. And if we get wiped out, if our business goes bankrupt, I mean, that's just part of potentially the cycle of business. That happens to a lot of businesses, and that's possible that could happen to us due to the market. I hope not, right? But at the same time, like, you just have to deal with everything the best way it's dealt to you.
Generally I have a pretty good feeling of like, kind of like you never know what's going to happen in the future, but I can kind of look at it and say, okay, there's an issue there, there's an issue there. But like, let's say hypothetically, I before COVID, I was like, okay, if things are stable, then COVID hits, so you never know what's going to happen. But right now, I'm looking at the market, and people are spending money. They're not like they're making money on the stock market. Everything's kind of rolling when there's underlying like fact that our Fed has printed so much money, and there's going to be a devaluation of our dollar eventually. There's some talk that the Fed is going to purposely start using inflation to bring the dollar down because there's so many things happen with the dollar. That is my only fear. My fear is if our dollar gets devalued to a point where it's no longer the world currency, then we are going to see a lot of big changes. You know what I mean? Which I don't think is going to happen. The chances of that happening are pretty small because there's not a lot of competition there. But if that does happen for some odd reason, we're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's something to be said where our hands are globally, though, too, right? I mean, there are large conflicts that could happen if we potentially, say we're just going to weaken our military presence in, X area, right? That we're protecting that country, right? And hence being their dominant currency. So there's so many factors that go into it, right? I mean, we could have World War III, and we'll see what happens to the dollar, right? I guess whatever power is standing at that point will take the riches, but who knows? I mean, conflict is inevitable. Crashes are inevitable. Booms are inevitable. Right. I mean, things will come back, things will go down, but like, I guess just for the average consumer or the average person who's either, working or saving, I mean, just do what you can to insulate yourself and protect yourself and buy assets that are good value, right? Versus,
I'm glad it's funny that you brought up the conflict because there's actually like a serious conflict going on where I'm from. I'm from the island of Crete in Greece. And right now, and a lot of people aren't really hearing about this. Like right now, Turkey's trying to take over like international waters that are Greek waters potentially. And then you've got France and then Greek military doing exercises. And you had the Turkish military doing exercises. And you got France helping out. And you got Germany trying to help out. This little hotbed right now of what's happening over Greece, it's very volatile because Greece and Turkey don't have a good relationship, first and foremost. Second of all, Turkey is trying to push their muscle around. So there are conflicts around the world, just so everybody knows that sometimes we don't even hear about. Like I know about it because I'm Greek, right? And I know that it's heating up pretty bad over there because I'm Greek. Most people don't know about what's going on over there, right? Yeah. And so there are conflicts worldwide. And I think as the world economy starts getting tighter, you're going to see some countries that can enforce their will to take profits, take money. So basically, they want to drill there's oil or there's like natural gas in that area, right? So Turkey wants that oil. They use some old treaty. Basically, what I'm saying is there is a lot of potential volatility in our world, in our local world,
above and beyond. Just I mean, the value of our currency comes from those implications or like you said, protected interests. Like for example, in like Korea, right? I don't know necessarily what that is, other than probably a central location, right? You're close to China, you're close to Russia, North Korea, right? But we have a military presence there. I'm sure if we weren't there, that something would happen, something different, right? Than what's happening now. Like it's a small country, right? But for us, it's a huge military standpoint. And, not that I am like this military guru or anything like that. I could be talking out of my ass as far as this goes. But I mean, that's just, if we were to pull out of all our positions, the world would be chaos. And that's why people rely on the US dollar, because essentially it's the ones we're like protecting them, right? So
even it's also because our military is a badass,
even
right?
If they don't
we have
want
a really, really big military.
No, I know.
Right. Yeah. We have a big military. We help a lot of people out. We do it because we want to be the world power and be able to do all that. But yeah, man, I'm super uncomfortable with the market right now. Personally, I really am. I'm weirded out by it. I'm like, it just seems like too hot.
And we got a election lurking that could, change the way that. So who knows? Right? I mean, one way or another.
Kanye West, bro. There's a chance Kanye West becomes the president of the United States.
There's zero chance Kanye West will be president of the United States. He is full blown off his fucking rocker. But
he's off his rocker, dude.
But you know, I mean, so is everyone else. So is everyone else.
Yes, everyone's. There's a video of his team going into Wisconsin to at the deadline to get his name on the ballot. They missed the deadline by 3 minutes and they shut him out. So he will not be on the ballot in Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean,
not
necessarily something I'm thinking about with Kanye West being president, but definitely
he will take votes though, bro. He will take votes. He will take votes probably from Biden.
I mean, it's almost
helps
like
Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess so, right? But I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know with an election like this, right? Like, it's so hard to predict. I'll
give a prediction. I'll give you my prediction, and I'm not saying I'm following it. I predict that Trump wins again. I'm predicting it right now. I bet you that motherfucker wins again.
Yeah,
because. And not that I think I'm just saying, like, you would have never thought that Donald Trump, would get elected. And now I really think he's going to get reelected because, unfortunately, our options are, like, not great, in my opinion, all across the board. You've got Kanye West, Biden, who has said some weird shit, and then Donald Trump, who has done a lot of weird shit. So it's like.
Yeah. Well, I don't like to get political. I don't really know, right? I mean, you can only vote for who you're going to vote for and see what happens, right? I think at the end of it all, no matter who gets elected, the tides of the world will still, ebb and flow. Like, it's not like one person's going to necessarily change the whole. I mean, yes, of course, every one person has somewhat of an impact on the future, right? But it's not like whoever you vote for, it's not like, hey, as soon as they get inaugurated, like all your problems go away.
Right.
Like
that doesn't happen.
The problems that we have are not necessarily, like, for example, like healthcare, right? One person can't just change that. You know what I mean? It's just like the way that we're set up, the way our hospitals and everything are set up. I mean, those are just, you almost have to start from scratch. And how do you do that in a system where every day people are sick, people are dying, people are in the hospital, people need prescriptions? I mean, that's just something that you can't just turn overnight. And our system has been put together like that for hundreds of years, or whatever, 100 years, or however long they've been doing, health insurance. So I think as a person, vote for who you believe in, and at the end of it all, just focus on your day to day, on how you can contribute to society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Our world is getting crazier every day. The social unrest, people getting pissed off, parents getting pissed about masks. You've got people killing. I mean, I don't know, man. We're a mortgage show. We're a real estate show, so that's what we'll focus on. I'm just saying, all this stuff does affect real estate. The world, right? It does affect real estate on some level, right?
Yeah, I guess, right, of course. But I don't care if you're Trump, Biden, Kanye West, whoever you're voting for, just be a good human. I mean, the simple effects of that.
That's like my mantra, dude. Be a good human, right?
Right, but I mean, it's not like you need to put someone else down for them believing something is different. Like, what are you going to take actual action on that person? Just go to work hard.
Yeah. Love the people around you.
Yeah. And
be okay everything will work out. Sal and I don't agree a lot. You and I don't agree a lot, but we love each other. We talk it out, and we like, I respect your opinion. You respect mine. We don't have to agree, but it doesn't mean I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a million things we don't agree on. It happens.
But I mean, again, those, and that typically is only something that like family or really, really close friends, even close friends, like, fall apart, right? But like, that's typically something like, he's like a father, right? Like, might be this staunch, Republican and have this super liberal kid, and he's not going to hate him. He definitely doesn't agree with him, but he'll probably love him. But the problem is obviously not everyone's family. So people hate each other. It's shitty.
Yeah, dude. But trying to force the world to do what
that's what I'm saying. You can't. You can't force.
You
can't force love.
Right.
for one another, unfortunately, just because some people just aren't open to accepting everyone else. But it is what it is. You know, I mean, we just gotta just do your part.
I just want the audience to know that I believe we do still live in the best country in the world. I think there's people that will die to have the opportunities that we have. You and I and Brad and Chad and our company have the opportunities we have because we live in the best country. We can do what we did in another country. You know what I mean? We couldn't just open up a mortgage company and have and create wealth for ourselves and the people around us because other places will be good about it. Okay, so listen, are we done? Did we get off? Oh no, we're good. Listen, that's our show, dude.
Bro.
Yeah, that's our show. We really appreciate it. Go to irepodcast.com, subscribe, do what you got to do. We love you very much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the show. And we will see you next week, Sal, with Brad. Brad will be back next week.
Yep. All right. See you guys.
All right, guys.